All right, man, peace. So, brothers, we're heading into the part of the NBA season where any LeBron James team, especially if they're struggling, we have to do a referendum and go down the list of all of his teammates to figure out whose fault it is, because it's never LeBron James' fault. So the first thing that we have to do is figure out which lineups are not working with LeBron James. We also have to figure out what lineups are being put out on the floor by the coach of a LeBron James team, because they're either going to have to do a major overhaul of that roster, or they're going to fire the coach, or maybe both. And that appears to be what the LA Lakers are heading towards, because it's very obvious that after a 2-game losing streak, which dropped the Lakers to 11-9, that there are going to be some major moves made. They're already starting to attack Brandon Ingram, which tells me that they're prepping him to be traded. So, of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
We talked about the Nuggets blowing out the Lakers at the top of the show, but I want to dive a little deeper because Brandon Ingram and LeBron James have played more than 400 minutes of basketball on the court together. That's a decent sample size, and the numbers suggest Ingram might be more effective when he's not playing with LeBron. Brian?
But wait a minute. I thought that, according to what I've been told, that LeBron James is the modern-day Magic Johnson, and that everybody that he plays with plays better and becomes a better player. So why are we talking about who does not fit in with LeBron? We never heard that about Magic Johnson. We never heard any of the NBA media pundits at the time say, this player does not fit in with Magic Johnson because when they're out there on the floor, Magic Johnson has a difficult time making his teammates better, or Magic Johnson has a difficult time getting this person the basketball. Why are we hearing this about LeBron James? You know why that is? Because once again, LeBron James can only play one way, that being the LeBron James system. Unless he gets trumped by a superstar head coach or a front office executive that used to be a superstar head coach like a Pat Riley, LeBron James does whatever LeBron James wants to do.
Take a look at these numbers here.
I would almost argue that this is the most important thing for the Lakers this season. And I'm not so much focused on the points because LeBron's a top 5 scorer.
Now look at Brandon Ingram's numbers. This right here disproves any notion that LeBron James makes his teammates better, which is what we've been inundated with, especially over the last 10 years or so. With LeBron James on the court, per 36 minutes, Brandon Ingram is averaging a little bit over 15 points a game. With LeBron James off the court, per 36 minutes, this dude is averaging almost 30 points a game. So in other words, LeBron James is stunting his growth. We have no idea how good Brandon Ingram can be because LeBron James is taking up too much of the basketball. He's taking up too much of the floor space. So I think that it would be best for Brandon Ingram if he got traded away. I did a couple of videos in regards to the dust-up that Brandon Ingram had with Chris Paul, or at least the part that he played in the brawl involving Chris Paul and Rajon Rondo. And I stated that without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, Chris Paul was going to get Brandon Ingram traded. What do I mean by that? That altercation, that fracas that they got into, put the red dot on Brandon Ingram's forehead. So to me, the clock is ticking on Brandon Ingram. But as the numbers show, as we can see, he's a very good young player. He's just not getting the opportunities playing alongside of LeBron.
Scorer of all time. Look at the field percentage and then look at that net efficiency, which is basically what happens on the scoreboard. When LeBron and Ingram play together, they're basically a 500 team. When LeBron is not in the game and Ingram is, Ingram and the Lakers flourish. So that's a little bit smaller of a sample size because obviously they play together a lot. But to me, this whole season was about A, establishing Brandon Ingram and LeBron as a tremendous duo that you can go forward with for the future. Or B, increasing Brandon Ingram's trade value to the point where you could trade him. Because remember...
Or both. Either Brandon Ingram can fit in with LeBron, and we get to see how well he plays alongside LeBron, or we showcase Brandon Ingram. I've been saying all season that the Lakers and the Celtics have been caught in a catch-22 because they have a bevy of young players. And isn't it interesting? At one time, the Cleveland Cavaliers had both LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. They both decided to go their separate ways. Kyrie Irving went towards the east. LeBron James went towards the west. And they pretty much are both in the same situation. Both players with a championship pedigree who have a bevy of young stars around them who are still trying to figure out how great they can be. And they're both frustrated. Maybe Kyrie Irving and LeBron James are more alike than they would prefer to admit.
Remember, they could have traded Brandon Ingram for, at least they could have attempted to trade him for Kawhi Leonard last year. When they passed on Paul George, it was more about the draft pick that became Lonzo Ball. But had they made Ingram available in that deal, maybe they could have gotten that done. They have elected to hold on to Ingram instead of trading for bona fide all-stars because they are so sure about how Ingram is going to play. The reality is, and you can see it in these clips, Brandon Ingram is at his best and has been at his best when he's got the ball, doing exactly that.
That's why he needs to go to another team. To be quite honest with you, I've heard his name mentioned in possible trades to the Charlotte Hornets for Kemba Walker, also to the Washington Wizards for Bradley Beal. I think that it would be in his best interest if he were to have gotten traded or if he were to get traded, particularly to the Charlotte Hornets. I think that if he were to get traded to the Washington Wizards and John Wall is still there, he would still get stifled because John Wall is another me first, hold the ball type of quote-unquote point guard. What Brandon Ingram needs is his own squad, just so that we can finally see how good he actually is, because those numbers that I saw with LeBron James off the court tells me that had LeBron James not been there, Brandon Ingram will be putting up top-notch numbers.
Creating and going to the basket. When you play with LeBron, you do a lot of standing and waiting. And
why is that, Brian Windhorst? I thought that LeBron James could play in any system and that he made everybody better.
And as you saw those stats, Ingram doesn't seem to be shooting the ball very well.
I can't believe that. That's not possible. Brandon Ingram is not shooting the ball well playing with LeBron James. That's not possible. LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. That's what I've been told.
I think we sort of are picking Brandon Ingram at times as a scapegoat for the entire system.
Oh, listen to that. Listen to the WNBA player. I believe her name is Chiney Agumake. Let me rewind this back a little bit.
Well, those stats, Ingram doesn't seem to be shooting the ball very well.
I think we sort of are picking Brandon Ingram at times as a scapegoat for the entire system.
Thank you, Chiney Agumake. Notice, she is a professional basketball player. So she knows what she's watching, she knows what she's looking at. It's very clear that Brandon Ingram is being chosen as the fall guy, and LeBron James always demands a fall guy on any of the teams that he's on. Whether it's Kevin Love or whether it's now Brandon Ingram, there's always going to be a player that takes all the blame for LeBron James' shortcomings.
In the sense that this is the first time LeBron has really been surrounded by young playmakers like Ball, Hart, Kuzma, Ingram.
Well, Chinny, that should not be a problem because supposedly LeBron James stated that he was going to play off the ball this season, allegedly. We were told that he was going to play off the basketball. Now, I'm sure that some of the naysayers will say, why are you coming down so hard on LeBron? We know that Rajon Rondo is out right now. That's why LeBron James is dominating the ball more. Well, let me say this. It's going to be very interesting when Rajon Rondo comes back. If the Lakers are struggling, what exactly LeBron James decides to do. I'm on record as stating that I believe that there will be an eventual blow-up in the locker room between LeBron James and Rajon Rondo, especially if the Lakers are struggling. It will most likely be because the Lakers are struggling. Rondo will not hesitate to call out LeBron James' bullshit.
And it's hard to adjust to that, especially when they're not shooters and more rhythm scorers. Now, what I noticed with Brandon Ingram is the fact that he's not a spot-up shooter.
Absolutely not. Brandon Ingram is a player that you have to give him the ball on the wing and get out of his way.
He's not a creator, but he truly, in essence, is just a mismatch. And
well, Chiney Agumake, I'm not going to agree with you that he's not a creator because he played pretty good point forward for them last season.
And with mismatches, you have to refer to them as often as possible to get that trade value up. So the best team that does this is with Kevin Durant.
Sure.
When he's hot, it's his night.
Well, you were not the first person to dream of Ingram and Kevin
Well,
Durant.
yeah, the body type alone is going to make people happy. The trade value thing is very important. I know that people don't love us talking about this in the middle of the season. Here's the bottom line. If Anthony Davis becomes available this summer because he declines to sign a Supermax with the Pelicans, there will be a bidding war for his services between old rivals Magic Johnson and Danny Ainge. And Danny Ainge right now has more in his wallet than Magic Johnson does. And
Let me say this. This up-and-coming offseason in 2019 is going to be by far the most eventful offseason in the history of the NBA. I do believe that at least one superstar-level player is going to change teams, and not even necessarily in free agency. I believe that at least one superstar level player is going to be traded in this offseason. Most likely Anthony Davis and maybe someone else. Who knows?
Magic Johnson needs to hope. If people, I didn't say when, if that situation comes up.
We're just saying what teams and what front offices are saying every day.
That Brandon Ingram, who maybe now is worth, I don't know, what do you want to say? $100 becomes worth $1,000, right? In the wallet.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
And
goddamn. It sounds like you're talking about a slave out of auction, Rachel Nichols. What the hell's going on here?
And so that needs to happen for them by the end of the season. And we're not seeing it, so they maybe need to look at those on-off numbers and maybe figure out.
I just think, in general, the Lakers roster is flawed because LeBron may huff and puff about it, but LeBron has won championships and MVPs as a playmaker surrounded by specialists. With the Lakers, you have creators and playmakers that are not specialists and not shooters. We have a mismatch here, and what's happening with Ingram is an exact example of it.
And it's not just...
I totally agree with you, sir. In other words, LeBron James needs a certain type of cast around him because he is not amenable to changing what he does on the basketball court. I just wish that there were more objective observers of the NBA at your network and at other networks who would stop postulating this false narrative that LeBron James is Magic Johnson or LeBron James is a Larry Bird who can fit into just about any offensive system. Kevin Durant can fit into more offensive systems than LeBron James. There's no way that LeBron could play in Golden State.
Not just play, it's personality. Now, the Cavaliers thrived when LeBron and Kyrie were doing their thing because Kyrie would literally take the ball and have his own game. Brandon Ingram's personality is not like that.
But Kyrie got tired of waiting on the sideline for LeBron to give him the ball and said, "Get me out of here," which I'm sure Brandon Ingram at night when he's thinking and not saying it to anybody is probably thinking.
But Kyrie definitely did get a championship first.
Well, I think that if there's not already more than one LA Laker player, there will be more than one LA Laker player who wishes that they were on another team from LeBron James. Because LeBron James represents what I talk about all the time on this channel, that notion of being a fanboy. You don't want to meet the person that you're a fan of because 99.9 times out of 100, you're going to be disappointed because they're not going to be the person that you want them to be. They're not necessarily going to be a bad person. They're just not going to be the person that you want them to be. A lot of these young guys on the Lakers grew up watching LeBron James and fell into the LeBron James hype, the LeBron James narrative that he loves all his teammates and he gets everybody involved and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's like they say, you don't know somebody until you live with them. Right now, they're living with LeBron James. They're in the locker room with him. They're at practice with him. And they're starting to see all the little flaws and the little chinks and things of that nature. And we all have them. So I guarantee you, they're saying to themselves, you know what? When I was watching on TV and I thought that he was unselfish, I realize now that he's not really unselfish. He just prefers to make a certain type of pass so that he can get the assist.
First.
That's true.
That's true. That's true. And LeBron's point was, let's keep doing this together. That's probably what he would tell Ingram. Just stick with me, kid.
Weather the storm.
I want to get to another young.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see how things turn out for Mr. Brandon Ingram. I don't believe that he's going to make it through the season as a member of the LA Lakers, but we'll find out. So peace.